What is up, everybody, and welcome back to a special edition of the Driver Show DFS for Doe. As you can see, Justin's not here with us this week. He is on a family vacation. So I brought in two guys that I have known for a long time that I've never gotten the pleasure to work with. We've been in the same group text about NFTs and golf betting for the last few years. So let me bring them in. We'll start with Axis. Brian, do you prefer to go by Axis?
Whatever works, but yeah, that's normally what I go by these days. So,
okay, so welcome to the show. Why don't you give a background of how you got started? I know you've worked for quite a few content companies, and now you're kind of doing your own thing. So why don't you give an intro?
Yeah, so background, I don't know, 7-8 years ago now. Always loved golf, and then Sky and I started realizing how many stats there are, and we just started playing around and honestly just fell into the dark rabbit hole that we're all in now with all these different numbers. And yeah, it slowly just became the favorite sport. Wrote for FTN for a while. I do a newsletter every week, which you can find on my Twitter page. And yeah, just still betting golf every week with everybody else.
Yeah, I love reading your stuff each week. You got a blog out there already for the US Open. So if anybody wants to check that out, hit up his Twitter. What's your Twitter? It might be.
It would be @Axis_DFS.
All right, then we got Eric Patterson, aka EPat, and I believe you worked on both sides of the sports betting, right? From content and
that's right.
Side. So why don't you give an intro too?
Yeah, I've been doing this for a while. I actually wrote for DFS On Demand way back in the day for Rick Gaiman there. Then started working as a news editor at The Score. Jumped into the bookmaking side of things and tried to beat Axis, but then gave up on that and jumped back out to the content streets. So happy to be here. I don't have a cool nickname like Noto or Access, unfortunately. Just go by EPat. But yeah, I'm excited to talk to you guys. We've been shooting the shit for years, and here we are finally face to face, kind of, and chatting.
Yeah, fun to have you guys on. One day we'll get Sky on here as well. But yeah, let's quickly recap the Memorial Tournament. Scotty Scheffler, pretty good at this golfing thing. He's now won 5 of his last 8 starts, 11 straight top 10s. Hasn't finished worse than T31 since October of 2022, I think. And I saw that the difference between him and Rory in the world golf rankings is bigger than Rory in the 600th ranked golfer in the world, which I thought was pretty crazy. He got the job done once again at Jack's Place. I think he only made 1 putt outside of 10 feet, which is kind of crazy. And EPat, I think you had a funny stat with him and Shane Lowry about their career earnings.
Yeah, he's made more money than Shane Lowry has in his entire career since the beginning of March. Wow. People thought that was a shot at Shane. I mean, I'm not taking drive-bys at Shane Lowry by any means, but he was just the biggest name that kind of popped out in that range. So just an insane run. I know Axis had him at 4-1 over there. So he's probably pretty pleased with that showing. Just he's unbelievable. And we haven't, we've been talking golf, betting golf, DFS. We haven't seen this. We didn't have the chance to do it when Tiger was doing it in the early 2000s. So we have never seen this type of run before, and we're all still trying to get used to what the hell's going on because it's an adjustment for a lot of us. You're not used to taking guys, 60% own in DFS or 4-1 on the betting board. It's the world we're living in.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I haven't faded Scheffler in DFS in a long time now, which is odd for the top price golfer for how I generally would play. And like you mentioned, I had him 4-1 last week. First time in a while I've bet a favorite because rarely do I make favorites that low. And then sweating it on Sunday, it might have been the first time I watched it. Going into a Sunday, I had the guy in the lead, and I actually felt good. Like I was like, oh, this, yeah, like even. It got close, obviously, at times, but I never once felt like you do when you have a guy who's at 60-1, 30-1, even 20-1. It was just like Scheffler's fine. Like he's just so steady, it's insane. The recovery shots, there's not really a ton of words to describe what he's doing right now outside of incredible.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. He's not only the best tee to green, but now he switches to the mallet. I think he's gained strokes putting in 7 of his last 8, and probably the best course manager on tour too. Kind of crazy. What do you guys think of the course? I mean, Shane Lowry's out there shooting 85 on Sunday. It's kind of fun to see guys struggle a little bit, but my showdown lineups disagreed with me there with Lowry. But yeah, Morikawa continues to be awesome. I think he's got 3 straight top 5s. It was kind of his short game carrying him in the early part of the year, and then last 3 events he's been on fire with the ball striking. So we'll talk about him. Any other major takeaways? We'll start with EPat.
Not a ton, other than it's just good to see these guys actually be tested. I think Muirfield Village does a great job of testing the modern professional. You know, you got to be extremely good with your irons, and I think Scheffler had his best career week with his approach game. It's just a course where you can separate with your iron play, and it's probably something we'll see this week at Pinehurst. When you're just elite at it, you know, you can gain so many more strokes when other guys are, you know, missing greens and you know, struggling off the tee and whatnot. It's a course where you're allowed to kind of separate and show your skills a little bit more than some of the other setups, and it's probably why we see such a high caliber type winner at Muirfield Village. I mean, Rahm, Cantlay, Hovland. I mean, what is it? Horschel showed up for a blip on the radar, but for the most part, it's stud after stud.
Yeah, I'd echo the same. It's just nice to see. I think generally, maybe not Pinehurst as we'll get into, but like it's probably generally a pretty good U.S. Open test leading into that event. It's just there's thick rough, there's fast greens. Jack doesn't let them play their stumbling, but they had to play the ball down when it had just rained, mud balls everywhere. Like, you know, it's not quite as pampery as they get every week. So it's nice to see, but it still rewarded the good shots. So like that's all I'm hoping for this week as well. Like -2 would be cool, but I'm not going to complain if someone gets to 12. These guys are just so good now. Outside of truly tricking things out, which I think gets away from the plot sometimes. It's nice to have weeks like Memorial tucked in there.
Yeah, I think my only complaint is that the place in the schedule. I mean, I wish it wasn't the week before major and like jammed in between the PGA and the U.S. Open. But yeah, love the course. Fun event. Let's get to the main dish here. Got the U.S. Open, 3rd major of the year. It's going to be at Pinehurst #2. So let's talk about the course and how we think it's going to play. Par 70, over 7,500 yards. I don't think it's going to play quite that long, just given the fact that it's probably going to be pretty firm. If you've been on social media today, I'm sure you've seen 100 videos of balls, you know, landing on the green and rolling 50 yards off. It's a nice change of pace from the thick rough videos that we usually get at the U.S. Open. But yeah, Axis, why don't you start? Tell us what you think about the course this week.
Yeah, so I don't really remember watching the 2014 version of this. I followed golf back then, but I didn't follow it like I do now. And so I didn't really go back and watch anything either. I didn't really particularly care to do that. So I've just been doing a lot of reading, as many others have, and I'm extremely curious to see. I'm hoping that it favors some length. Obviously iron play every week, but and I'm hoping there's been some discourse on Twitter about the around the green game and these runoffs, and I'm hoping it's quite the challenge. Now that doesn't mean people won't try to foil that with, you know, putting 3-woods, as we've seen. I saw those videos of Hoagie today attempting it and it rolling back, and then you have Webb Simpson in press conference and saying, no problem, I did it last time, I'll do it again this time. It was pretty easy to just hit 3-wood around the green. So that's what has me very intrigued. And obviously this isn't the USGA setup of 3-inch rough everywhere. Like, these guys have plenty of room to hit the ball. But when they hit a bad drive, it could be rolling the dice. It could be Plinko in the wire grass. So, you know, they may not always get screwed over from landing there. They might be able to pick it clean. You know, the better iron player you are, the better you'll probably be out of that wire grass, that sandy waste area. So, I'm quite intrigued, and I'm looking forward to this event quite a bit. Probably going to be consuming as much of it as possible for the next 4 days.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of YouTube golf content. I watched Wesley Bryan, George Bryan, and Grant Horvat play it. I think they played it like a week ago. And yeah, when you miss a fairway, it really is up to Lady Luck when it comes to your lie, whether it's landing in those little grass patches or not. But yeah, EPat, what do you got for us?
I rely on the golfers usually to tell me how the course is going to play. And there was a clip of Hovland floating around where he just kind of described the strategy, and it's, aggressive off the tee. So sounds like they're going to be, he didn't say he's going to hit driver every hole, but he's definitely going to push it out there, which kind of goes to what Axis was saying, where distance is probably going to help. And he's just, if he does end up in the wiregrass or the sandy areas, it is a little bit lucky. But then he said, you're got to be conservative into the greens. So these greens are going to be rejecting even like mediocre shots. So you got to be extremely precise into the greens. And obviously the easiest way to do that is with a shorter club in your hand. So I do think it's going to lend a little bit more to length than people probably believe. Everyone's like, oh, you got to hit fairways, you got to, and elite iron play, which, if everyone's kind of missing fairways, or, if everyone's hitting fairways, obviously you want to be shorter. So aggressive off the tee, conservative into greens. And then, when you do miss those greens, world-class short game is obviously going to go a long way. So a good test of everything. And yeah, just incredibly excited. The US Opens, they go to all these different courses. It's been a while since we've been here. We just really don't know what to expect whenever they host an event. With the Masters, you have a feel for it. The Open Championship, you kind of know what links golf's all about. But for US Opens, it could be, whatever they kind of want to make it. I saw they were watering greens already. So hopefully they kind of lay off there and let the course bake out a bit more, because I do want to see a little bit of carnage. I want to see these guys sweat and maybe some ejections along the way, as long as it's not some of the guys I've been betting on. But right. I'm just beyond excited to watch it. I know you guys down in the States, up here in Canada, we just get to throw it on one channel for like 13, 14 hours and watch golf. You guys got to sign up for 14 different streaming services. You got to have multiple TVs on the go. So I don't envy your position in trying to figure out how to watch this damn thing.
Yeah, we see like 4 shots per hour.
Not great. Find the world feed again.
Yeah, the world feed goes a long way. I think that helped out some people last year.
And Axis always has the IMG link for the scoreboard if anybody ever needs it. It's better than the PGA Tour and like the US Open app as well. Are there any stats like that aren't the typical stats you guys are looking at, like proximity, long irons, or scrambling from the fairway, anything like that?
I generally don't get too cute, to be honest. I like looking through all the stats, mainly as a story of what has happened. I don't find too many of those things to be overly predictive for how I go about things. So no, I didn't do anything crazy. Honestly, it'd be pretty boring to look at the model this week. It's pretty much just distance, irons, maybe a little bit more around the green than usual. But yeah, nothing too special for me this week.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. It's just, I feel like it's from these major championships, it's a lot of feel, kind of go with guys who have proven it before. And as Axis said, around the green, it's so much different than what we're accustomed to seeing. It's pretty hard to even use like short game or, scrambling, whatever it is, short, around the green strokes gained. You kind of have to know like who's kind of good at chipping off short grass or getting creative. I think of Augusta. I think, going back to, Australian golf, I think about that President's Cup at Royal Melbourne and just kind of some of the guys who flourished down there. I know it was a while ago, but it's that skill set that you're going to probably need to, save a bunch of pars. So not getting too deep into the nitty gritty, just guys that I trust to perform at US Opens. And if you look at enough of the leaderboards over the past few years, there's going to be a select handful of names that kind of keep popping up. So got to keep it simple for when you're heading to the US Open.
Yeah, tend to agree. I think I got to bump up distance a little bit after talking to you guys. I was leaning more total driving, but yeah, you guys made good points. And the Hovland interview with the aggressive off the tee makes me more bullish on driving distance. All right, before we get to the player pool, just want a quick promo. Never a better time to sign up for RG Premium. We got like 6 sports going on right now, even WNBA. So right now, a 6-month combo you can get for $470. It's $250 off. Or if you just want to try 1 month, you can get $40 off. If you want to try 3-day pass, $20. Links are going to be in the description if you want to check those out. All right, we're going to go through the pricing tiers. We're going to start at the very top. I kind of think Scheffler deserves his own tier, so let's start with him. 13,000 on DraftKings. He's probably going to be, we have about 40% ownership right now. Single entry, small field stuff. I'm guessing it's going to be higher than that. how are you guys approaching Scheffler? Are you going to try to get over, under? And what's your general strategy in DFS? You got like single entry or MME stuff?
I'm normally a single entry to 3 max, so I'll just be hitting the lock button on Mr. Scheffler this week. Again, I'm not going to get too cute. Like, even when I run like simulations, optimizations, everything, like he just pops up, and I feel if I play him this week and he's the one who somehow misses the cut, I think I'll sleep just fine. And not to mention 65% of the rest of the field will probably also be down to 5 out of 6. So I'm going to keep it easy this week and just lock Mr. Scheffler into the lineups and work from there.
Yeah, it's definitely a decision of all in or zero, in my opinion. I wouldn't try to go field average, and I think that's probably what most people will be doing. It just Scheffler at this course, it just makes too much sense. He's playing too well. The iron game is just exceptional. He's one of the best chippers in the world, and he can putt. So he can putt now, I guess, once he's got the mallet. Hopefully I didn't just jinx him there, but I could see him winning by, I think his odds to win by like 3 shots is like plus 600. I think to win by 4 is, 10 to 1 or something. So it's like, there's a decent chance this guy just runs away with it. And this is a course where you can separate. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does have a multi-shot, victory or lead going into Sunday. So, I mean, this is a guy you just want to jam in my opinion. And you have projected a 40%. I find that low, but like you said, in single entry, it's probably going to be a lot higher. I think 100% Scheffler would be the way to play it. You got to have some stones to full out fade him and hope for carnage and hope, I guess this is the tournament where it could happen, but I just don't see it with the way he's playing.
Yeah, right there with you guys. I think I'm just going to lock him in my small field stuff and let the field make the mistake of fading him. And these are two of the sharper golf bettors around. We're going to get a couple bets after our DFS breakdown. I'm definitely going to be hitting the winner without Scheffler market. He scares me.
Yes.
And at 3 to 1, it's just tough. So, all right, let's get to the next 4 guys. We got Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, Bryson, and Brooks, all above 10K. Axis, who are your favorites there? And can you pair one of them with Scheffler? I mean, the values this week, like if you sort by point per dollar in any projections model, there's so many good values out there. So you can probably make it work, but are you going to try to do that?
I don't know. So one thing I've done over the last years, I don't build anything until Wednesday now. I consume some content, but mainly it's just so I don't stare at stuff all week and overthink anything. So I haven't actually built all that many lineups yet. I've tinkered. Honestly, I mean, obviously Colin Morikawa in this range just screams plug in, and I think that's who I'm going to avoid. Honestly, I might avoid this range in general, but I think Colin will be pretty high owned from this particular range. So if I find myself here, it would probably be Aberg or Hovland. I have no issue with either of them. I don't want anything to do with Wyndham Clark. I think Cantlay is a little cute, but yeah, I don't know. Oh, I skipped a whole range on you, didn't I? Good Lord. I'm gonna
Axis going off the rails.
See, this is what happens. You take a year off content and you just get so narrowed in on the next thing you're doing. To answer your question, no, I'll actually probably be skipping the rest. But Bryson would be my favorite of the following after Scheffler.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna bet Bryson in the winner without Scheffler markets. Yeah, he's just contended above the majors so far. I think he can be aggressive off the tee. Should provide some dividends for him. EPat, what about you? Do you like any of these 4 guys?
I mean, it would be so hard for me to build a decent looking lineup with Scheffler and one of these guys. I have clicked on Koepka in the winner without market. I feel like 20 to 1 without Scheffler is a pretty nice number. I'd probably consider taking 20 to 1 in the full outright field. So I liked him at the PGA. I think he's been playing decent enough. We know how he is on these major championships, especially the US Open. I don't think he's going to get rattled if he starts with, 3 straight bogeys. He's just one of those guys. He's played here before. I think he came 6th maybe in 2014. And that was before Koepka was like the Brooks Koepka we know today. So, just one of those U.S. Open major championship type players that I trust. So if I had to pick from this range, it'd probably be Koepka. Part of me just likes cheering against Bryson. I don't hate him by any means, but watching him, make the odd double or triple is entertaining for me. So I do cheer for that. And I guess we could probably touch on Rahm's withdrawn and Rory's back with his wife. So you want to talk about some narratives there. That's
I didn't see that.
Storylines. Yeah, Rory's back with his wife. They've mended fences. What was it? Last major he filed for divorce, and this major he's back with her. So we'll see what happens at the Open Championship. But I understand there's a case for all these guys, but when you're playing Scheffler, it's hard to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, we could see single entry like these four just not get hardly any ownership. So if you feel good about one of them, it's probably a good spot. I mean, starting with like Brooks and Bryson could be interesting. I don't think I'll do it, but interesting for sure. Let's go to the 9K range. My favorite is Morikawa, but like Axis said, he's probably going to be very popular. I was hoping I could get sort of unique, starting with Scheffler, Morikawa, just because people would be scared to go down to the value range, but probably not going to be the case. I just like the way his game's trending. Good total driver, good U.S. Open player, 2 majors already. But Oberg certainly looks good. Did Hovland say anything about what he's going to do around the green? Can he pull a Martin Keimer on us? I would love if he did.
I mean, he chips it decent at Augusta. I feel like I've seen stats where he's like not the worst. So, I mean, as someone who struggles with the chipping yips myself, I do like seeing short grass just because I know I can putt it or I can pull it like my hybrid or something. So obviously I don't practice it as much as these guys, but it is reassuring to know you have that option. So, if he stands overshot with a wedge and he starts to feel it in his hands, he can always back off, go pull putter out and smack it up there. So I'm not like overly concerned with Hovland's chipping, just because we've seen it on short grass before. And he seems like he's turned a corner. So I'm not going to, rag on the guy. It does seem like, he's kind of back to where he was later in the later parts of last year. So excited to see how his kind of game keeps trending.
Yeah, me too. Axis, you like anybody here? Cantlay and Clark, both pretty bad form. Any love?
I mean, it sounds awful because it's just his major record, but I could find myself playing Cantlay if needed. I don't think anyone else is really going to touch him with Hovland, Oberg, and Morikawa here. So that would be very tempting to get a caliber of player like that at probably a very low percent. He's not even playing as well as he used to when he didn't play well in majors. So that would be the concern here. I'll probably just stick to either Hovland or Oberg if I find myself here. This is where Scheffler ruined everything. This is where I used to love starting to build lineups is here. So Scheffler's just ruining all the fun. So that's why you got to play him. So that way when he wins, you're like, all right, this feels good to be on this side of things.
Yeah, except my cheap guys miss the cut, and then it's like, oh well.
That is the big problem.
EPat, any other thoughts on this range? If not, maybe just talk about some of your favorite guys in the 8Ks.
I mean, it's definitely a leverage spot if you want to get, there's single digit ownership on a lot of these guys. I'm not going to say this course and LACC are the same or similar, but I mean, wide fairways, a lot of short grass, kind of like an architectural people. The architect geeks love this types of course. So we've seen Wyndham win on a course like this. I mean, he's the defending champ. I know he's not playing exceptionally well, but he doesn't seem to need a lot of form to kind of pop his head up. So I see it. What do you got? 5% projected ownership. That's probably a risk I'd be willing to take. But I guess I'll just jump down to the 8s because this is a bit more of a busy section and maybe some more names, but Justin Thomas at single digit ownership is something that could, pique my interest. His irons seem to be trending a corner here, and he's got a bunch of top 10 finishes recently. So I do think he's playing a lot better. I gained 5.2 shots on approach last week at the Memorial, another course where it's hard to gain it's easy to gain shots and easy to separate on approach. So a good sign there. He was 8th at the PGA. Single digit ownership on a guy that, he loves to brag about how creative he is around the greens. I think back to Royal Melbourne and him and Tiger are just kind of like beating guys up. So I do think that, JT is a decent look, to be honest, at 8,900.
Yeah, I don't mind that. You've got the approach around the green. Just got to make some putts, which has been pretty bad this year at times. But, yeah, I like that call. I like Tommy Fleetwood. I don't know. He's just safe. I don't know. He just always seems a backdoor top 10 in these type of events, especially on hard courses. Pretty good around the greens, pretty good putter. Hideki at the bottom is probably going to be the chalk. Just playing well. Seems like a good course fit. Anyone else you like, Axis?
I'll echo the JT sentiment. I again, the putting's been horrendous, but I don't particularly care. At the majors sometimes seems to take some of that out because you don't need to hit every 12-footer for birdie you're looking at. You just need to not 3-putt all that much. So perhaps if he can just cut some of that out of his game, he'll be fine. And then obviously Fleetwood, very, very steady. And then I think I'll be interested in Finau as well. I think he could be one of the lower of this particular group. Again, he hasn't really necessarily teased in a while, but it's been pretty steady this year. Like, maybe not for some, you think it should be better for him, but like there's a bunch of top 20s. He finished top 10 last week at the Memorial. He's gained strokes in every category. The last 2 tournaments, except putting, I think he was maybe just under 0 at the Charles Schwab. But, I think there's a lot to like there. And if he truly is going to be maybe one of the lower, you got him at 10%. I would probably agree with that number. That'd make me pretty happy, honestly, if, considering I'm already probably going to have Scheffler at Lord knows what. I'm probably going to look to avoid some of the chalkier options. So I think Finau's a good one to slot in there.
Yeah, I like that. From Utah, so I'm always a fan of Finau. What if I told you guys Will Zalatoris gained 3.6 strokes on and around the greens last week? Major, nobody's playing him. Could we just blindly play him in tournaments?
I saw that he lost like 4 strokes on approach in Memorial. I know it's besides the point, but God, that's not why you're buying Zalatoris. I'm maybe not as a hardcore Zalatoris better as some other guys out here, but I know Axis and Sky like to bet him back in the day. I just would rather see some life in the iron play. He's always going to be under-owned or low-owned. So you are getting leverage there, and he is a decent major player. But something seems off and maybe a little bit too risky for me.
Probably the same. I think there's 2 different ways to go about players like Zalatoris. I'll normally probably perhaps miss the week where he might spike back, but I'm also not going to be the guy who's chased him for 3 or 4 weeks in a row. I don't know. It's just not really clicking for him right now. And I think I'd much rather play Finau, to be quite honest with you, right there. So that makes it probably easier for me to not even really think about Zalatoris this week.
I'll bring you guys on. Think we're going to have a lot of fun, and you just shoot me down. That's Zalatoris.
I want to get your take on Cam Smith because I feel like 6% there might be a bit low. He's getting talked up a lot in the betting market. There's videos out of him, kind of talking about how much he loves the course. It reminds him of Australia. Everyone's talking about short game and putting. I think Cam Smith is someone who's going to get a little bit more attention than we maybe think. I just want to, you're the big expert here. What's your take on Smith? And are you going to be playing more than 6% of him, or are you going to fade him?
Definitely not the ownership expert, but yeah, I'll bring that up to our team if he's getting talked up a little bit. But yeah, the Sandbell courses in Australia, make a lot of sense. The short game's just second to none, maybe. That last round on Live last week worries me a little bit.
Yeah,
not good.
But how much stock can we put into any of those events, really?
If they're positive, if they're good rounds like Brooks, they're good things. And if they're 80s, like what Cam Smith shot, you can just, flush it down the toilet. It's pretty easy.
I ask myself that all the time. Like, I don't even know, like, it's 3 rounds. Like, after round 1, if you're not in contention, like, are you hardly showing up? Are you literally just going through the motions? Like, there's so much unknown that it's impossible. Like,
it's a tough one to quantify for sure. It's a battle.
Smith makes sense, I guess, overall, but what worries me about him is he's not overly long and he can be erratic off the tee. So while I know he's got magical hands around the green, and even his irons are typically okay. I do wonder if he's truly not firing on all cylinders. Maybe he just took the afternoon off. I don't know, but if he's finding the waist a little too much, that would be a concern with his historical driving.
Yeah, and I should have noted earlier, John Rahm did WD today, so make sure not to play him. Yeah, that kind of sucks. I think he's kind of regretting his decision.
Aside from his 600 million, he's having a tough year.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the sevens. It's a smaller range than usual. It seems like there's usually a lot more 7,000 golfers, but who are some of the guys you like? Let's start with Axis.
The first two I start in this region, I'll start with the more expensive one, which would be Cam Young at 7,500. I'm a broken record if anyone watching follows me. But he hasn't been good, right? So I just told you that I'm not going to play Zalatoris, but I would be willing to play Cam Young. And they're basically, if you look at their stats, I'm not even sure Cam Young's are actually even better. They might be a little worse, to be quite honest with you. But that's where I'd rather roll the dice. I do think the salary plays a small part in that, since I'm running this off of some value numbers. If he was the same price as Zalatoris, I can promise you I would have way less interest in Cam Young. But I'd rather play Corey Connors at 7,200. Again, just a very steady golfer. He has distance, he has accuracy. So if I'm wrong on distance, that's fine. If I'm playing Connors, like, he still finds plenty of fairways. I think he will find more than the field finds this week. Obviously, his irons will probably be among the best in the field this week, as they generally are quite good. He struggles around the green. That is a concern. Hopefully he does find more greens so he doesn't have to chip as much. Maybe he's one of the ones who's trying out a Texas wedge. I don't know. But I'm not really expecting him to win. At this price, I need you to make the cut. And then to win a GPP, I need you to at least be flirting with the top 15, top 10. And I think he's very capable of doing that.
Yeah, Connor is definitely my favorite. Next would be Terrell Hatton, who my model just loves. I wanted to ask you guys, how do you guys model the live guys without a lot of strokes gain stats? I kind of just lean on their long-term stuff, but some of it's just kind of I have to adjust manually.
I keep a profile for them still, based obviously more on their historical past. And then as they get some random strokes gained, you can kind of compare it. And again, though, it's still tough. It's only 4 rounds. If someone like Terrell had a bad approach game at his last major with strokes gained, so that doesn't make me skew it too much. But again, it goes back to I don't even know how to treat their strokes gained total from live sometimes. So I do think there is risk. I'd like to think that they care when they come to majors, but again, I'm with you. It's just I don't know. It's feel, I guess, for us too. How am I feeling about any of them in a particular week? Like, outside of maybe Bryson, I don't know how many of them are truly happy over there. I'm confident that Bryson is happy there. I'm confident that Dean Burmeister.
I was gonna say, Mean Dean said he loves it. He's like the happiest guy in the world over there.
Like, I think some of them say they like it because they have to. But yeah, it's tough. I love nothing more than a stat guy loves than guessing at stats in my model. So
the only thing I'll say about Hatton is, like, the guy complains about, Augusta National, which is like the purest course in the world. If he gets into the bushes here, the putter gun could be coming out, and there could be some insane ejections from someone like Hatton. Like, I just don't think I'll ever see Hatton lifting a U.S. Open trophy just because of the demeanor it takes to win one of these tournaments. So if I don't see him like winning or even contending, I mean, his track record at U.S. Open's kind of spotty as one top 10. There's something about this course that, if he putts one off the green or one comes back to his feet, that it could just be full-blown ejection for him. So I'm just a little bit worried from that standpoint.
I'm here for that, though. Like, I do.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's what I want to watch, but
it doesn't bother me. His antics don't bother me, but I know they bother some people. I find it hilarious. I hope we see the shotgun this week.
He says that helps get it out of his system, get him ready for the next shot, is what he says.
I mean, that's how I play. Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the common narrative. I think that's why he's not going to be as high owned this week.
Yeah,
every podcast I listen to is like temperament, you got to have it, and he definitely doesn't. So
you don't need him to win; you just need him to top 10. So I understand, especially low owned. I definitely understand the angle. I think the guy I looked at, and maybe it's because I have a future on him, is Thigala, just because I think he's playing well, he's hitting it well, he can putt it pretty good. His short game, again, he's not great around the greens, but I do think he's like a sneaky creative. So maybe you can throw out some of the stats that we're used to seeing on the PGA Tour, and he can kind of let his creativity kind of guide him around these greens. So, pretty wide fairways. So if he does get a little errant, he should be okay. And I've seen that, the wider you miss, the better you might be. So if he's got the mega miss going, then he still could be okay. So I kind of like the Gala just to keep trending and kind of keep taking those next steps in major championships, because I do think he's going to keep contending in these.
Yeah, love Thigala, one of my favorite plays too. Thought about betting him, but I feel like I missed like the better numbers. So we'll see about that one. Another guy at the bottom, I like Benny On, playing well. Definitely fits the bomber angle if you want to go that route. The approach game's kind of back. I think he's gained at least 3 strokes on approach in 3 of his last 4 events, and he's a better putter than he used to be. So I don't mind Benny On. Is there anyone else? Oh, I forgot this at the top of the show. You guys are more versed in the DP World Tour than me. What happened to Soderberg last week?
About what you would expect if you follow the DP World Tour. In my inner circles, he is known fondly as Soderberg. He tends to lay the sod whenever he gets in contention, and I felt terrible because I had no money. I had no one in contention to win that. And I had actually stopped watching, and then Baroff actually had sent me a message, so I had to tune back in. That hurt, but if unfortunately for him, that is about how it goes for him on Sundays. Unfortunately, I mean, that was an all timer. He hasn't really blown 8-shot leads before, but yeah, that did hurt having bet him enough and followed him. That one stung even me to watch.
I have a friend who I didn't even know was like a European Tour bettor, and he's absolutely on tilt Sunday morning. I was stunned that he even had him, but like that's got to be one of the toughest pills to swallow. So yeah, tough scene. That putting stroke at the end was just
man,
full 360. Yeah, if you struggle putting, do not watch those videos. It's PTSD written all over it.
So he was up 8, right, and then missed like a 2-footer.
To force a playoff,
he missed a 2-footer for bogey, so he doubled on top of it was just it was a slow bleed all day. You could see it coming. I didn't really believe it was actually going to happen, but then for it to end like that, it wasn't like a 10-footer, like to miss a 2-footer to lose, to miss a playoff when you had a 8-shot lead is I honestly hope he can recover and continue to play decent golf anytime soon.
All right. Sorry to get us sidetracked. We got a question about Minwoo Lee. Do you guys have any interest there?
I love Minwoo as a fan. I'm worried about his iron play. I don't know if I really would love him to learn how to hit. He's not like an awful iron player, but I don't think I'm going to get there this week, but I don't hate it. I think he can play well just about anywhere. He's pretty skillful. He's just not consistent.
Yeah. If you're going with the Aussie angle, I think it's decent. Going out for 18 holes with Tiger can't hurt. He probably maybe showed him a few places where he should be, the correct misses. I don't hate it. Playing pretty consistent. I mean, I'm looking at his results here: 22nd, 24th, 26th, 24th. So don't expect much higher than a 25th, but right in that ballpark. I prefer Sungjae if you're going to go into the low 7s. Quietly putting together a bunch of nice results, 4 top 12s in his last 5 starts. He's missed the cut at the PGA, but maybe I'm remembering Melbourne too much, but Sungjae was kind of a star for the international side there. Seems to love chipping off short grass. So if you're going to get into the low 7s, I think Sungjae, maybe my working theory is like if you're not an elite iron player like Scheffler or Morikawa, I think there's going to be a lot of balls being repelled to the short grass areas. So if you have a world-class short game and you're a good putter, I think there's going to be a lot of guys who are like, tour average iron players ending up in the same spots. So I think that's when it's going to rely on your short game. And that's why I think Scheffler can separate so much, because he's going to be able to hold the green. So it's kind of how I see the week playing out. So give me the guys like Sung Jae who can chip and putt better than most.
Yeah, I love that call. And I think he went over in Korea a month ago, maybe. All right, let's get to the 6K. By my count, there's 121 golfers priced below 7K, which is why it's so easy to get Scheffler, because at least half the guys are priced above that. Anyway, a lot of them are going to make the cut, is what I'm trying to say. So let's start there. I always like Russell Henley just because of his iron play, good around the green. His putting's definitely improved this year. I think he's top 25 in this field over the last 6 months and the last 3 months. So I like him. I'll start there. But there's a ton of guys. I mean, Alex Noren's been playing great, top 25 in 8 of his last 9 starts. Siwoo Kim, I was looking at this today. He's gained off the tee in 32 of his last 33. He's gained on approach in 9 straight, gained around the green in 7 of his last 9. He just can't putt. But, 6 to 800, I like that quite a bit. I don't want to steal everybody. So let's go. EPat, who do you like down here?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of there's so many guys you can go to. I do like the Henley call. Obviously we've mentioned Dean Burmeister, who continues to play really well on live. So I don't think you can go wrong there. Him and Siwoo kind of have very similar games right now especially in terms of putting. They rank 140, 150 in the field over their last 24 rounds in putting. I mean, Burmeister, hard to know just because it's live, but those are the numbers I'm looking at. But if I'm going to go with someone down here, I like Batia Akshay there. I tweeted out just, top 10 strokes gained approach in greens that are hard to hit. So low green and regulation percentage, and Akshay's top 10 in strokes gained approach there. So someone who's been hitting it well, he doesn't have a ton of major experience, so maybe it's too tough of a test for him, but it's a bullet I'm willing to kind of take there just because of his ceiling. He can get extremely hot with his irons, and is someone who can, I'm not going to put him close to the Morikawas or Schefflers, but if he is, if he brings his A+ iron game, I think he should be hitting enough greens and regulations to to stay afloat.
Axis.
Yeah. Dean Burmeister, I actually liked him a little more on the betting side. I have no issue using him though. And you mentioned Henley. The only thing that worries me about Henley is I think his ownership might creep up into the double digits down here. Just the more people start talking about irons, it's so cheap. It's kind of insane, as you mentioned, the amount of you could make a lineup of guys from the 6K range and probably not hate it. Like obviously you wouldn't do that, but I think you could. That'd be like a fun little game to do with your friends. Start a DraftKings up and you got to build one under 7K. And I think you could build one that you'd be like, this could work at a John Deere Classic, and it might be the same field. So, but I think I'll go with Aaron Rai. His distance is a concern if I think it's going to play that way, but he's insanely accurate. So he'll have that going for him, especially if you want to, and he's insanely accurate. So you can count on him probably hitting quite a bit more fairways. So maybe he can make up for some of that lack of distance there. The iron game has been super sharp. He's pretty solid around the green. He is pretty awful on them. So that's what you're getting there. But again, when you're this cheap, you're really hoping these guys make a cut, and then you need some of the luck on your side for them to continue to play well. So even if he's not putting well, I think he could make a cut here. So that's somebody I kind of like down here as well. And then the other one I'll mention who might be a little more owned than I'd love to play down here, but it's going to be Keegan Bradley. Again, he just fits that same mold I'm looking at with a Corey Connors, long and fairly accurate, consistent irons and ball striking, not abysmal around greens. He can be abysmal on them, but he can also putt pretty well at times. And I don't mind taking those guys who are streaky putters. I need you to show, I like when I've seen like some tournaments he does gain over one stroke numerous times in 2024 already. So I think Aaron Ryan, Keegan Bradley are two I'd like to look for down in the 6K range.
Yeah, I like those calls. I'll add Harris English, just really good U.S. Open player. He's one of those guys that he can gain like 8 strokes around the green and 6 strokes putting just randomly. So I don't mind him. Okay, we'll play Fade the Chalk. The 3 most popular guys that we have right now: Sepp Straka at 13%, Tom Hoge at 8%, Christian Bezuidenhout at 8%. Which of the 3 gets the X from you guys?
Oof. I was just looking up Seabez's numbers because I'm on Data Golf right now, and they have him as the 14th best player in the world, which seems high. So maybe insane. Their model's a little broken. They also have Henley number 8. So
I think Henley's closer to that than Seabez, but either way.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. In terms of chalk there, I mean, Hoagie's got the irons. Seabez has got the short game. I'd probably pass on Hoagie, to be honest. I don't think he's a U.S. Open type player. If there's no casino nearby, I don't know what the casino scene's like in North Carolina, but
is that a positive or negative for him? I've never known.
I think it's positive.
I feel like he needs that he needs that made cut motivation so he can head to the craps tables on Friday night. So I'll pass on Hoagie. I like Sepp. I mean, that's dirt cheap for someone of his caliber. Think of him as like a Southeastern guy, but he's got a Southern accent. So definitely not an Austrian by not cut and dry Austrian. So I'd probably play Sepp and Seabez over Hoagie. I
will avoid Seabez. I know Hoagie hasn't been good in majors either, but Bezuidenhout has not been good at all in them. And again, I do think distance plays some part. He's not that long. He's not overly accurate either. The driver is quite detrimental to his game overall. I think he's gained strokes with his driver once this year, once in a major. Like they come to big boy courses for those, and that includes some of the open courses where they don't necessarily. I know he's in stellar form as far as his finishes. I think I would just be a little scared, and I'd rather have Sepp and Hoagie, who are slightly. Sepp definitely, Hoagie probably a better ball striker overall. So I think that's where I'd lean there if they're all 3, chalky. So
I'll break the tie. I'll pass on Hoagie, but it's because I love Seabez. I don't know why. He's a guy to root for. All right,
I do love rooting for him, but
yeah, anybody in the 5s that you guys like? I don't really have any strong takes, but you guys know the deeper names than I do.
I don't know if I need to play them, but I did write down a few that caught my eye. David Puig, again, I don't know what to do with live results. But he's been having a pretty solid year. He's very young, so I think there's a ceiling there. He's 5.9K. Then you have Tim Whiting coming from the KFT, won back-to-back events over the last 4 weeks, I believe. Like most KFT guys, his ceiling is high. He's inconsistent, but again, at 5.6K, make the cut. And then another one from the KFT, Frankie Sappin. I believe I really recently learned, I believe that C is pronounced as an S, so I'll go with that. Again, pretty strong year on KFT. So those are just 3 I wrote down that I could easily fill in and have no issue playing if I was starting to get into like a 20+ lineup build.
Yeah, the only thing I'll mention is, it's pretty gross down here. There's just a lot of guys that have qualified and have really no chance. But I will say Harry Higgs is maybe one of the hottest players on tour right now. He's won back-to-back events. I believe. He won 2 in a row, whether that's going into this event or it's been really recently. So playing very well. Can't tell you how he's doing it just because I don't have KFT stats in front of me. But anyone winning twice is probably worth a look. So yeah, I'll throw Harry Higgs out there.
Yeah, he won the qualifier too, and make it 3 in a row. Okay, let's give one favorite bet, whether we can be outright or anything. Then we'll do one of our favorite things in our group chat is the group made cut bet, where everybody picks one guy to make the cut. We also do this in the RotoGrinders Discord if you guys want to check that out. But let's start with our favorite bet of the week. Axis, you got one ready?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you 1.5 because it's a serious bet, but people may not think it's that serious. But the serious one would be I took Bryson 12-1 on FanDuel in a market without Scheffler, Morikawa, McIlroy, or Schauffele. So 4 of the best golfers in the world are not in that market, and I think Bryson deserves to be lower than 12-1 there. And then the other one, just to get a little Scotty action, I did double Scheffler and Nelly Korda this week and got that up to 26-1. So you might as well, whenever you can bet 2 of the hottest golfers in the world during the same week, I feel like that's a decent bet at 26-1.
Yeah, the dreams to hit the double. I never have, but I keep trying. EPat, what do you got?
I mean, I've been locked into a Scheffler future ticket for so long; it's hard to even build
that number.
You got 8-1.
Yeah, I was clicking that during the Masters. I had him to win the Grand Slam at it was like 700-800-1 when I parlayed all 3 of them together. So the PGA, obviously, the arrest got me. I'll just say I think I like Brooks in any market without. I got the 20 without Scheffler. I'm not scared of Schauffele or Rory as much as I am Scheffler, so I'm willing to take that number on just Scheffler. So I'll just go Brooks 20-1 without Scheffler. I think you probably get better numbers than that. There's so many boosts out there. I mean, 365 is throwing 50% boosts on things, so you can get an outright Scheffler ticket right now at almost close to 5-1. So that's probably something I would consider as well. It's one of those weeks, and maybe this is the week where it seemed that easy at the Masters, and it was for everyone. Maybe this is the week where we all think it's that easy and it's not, but I'm gonna take that leap of faith and go all in on Scheffler.
Yeah, he's probably gonna win, and I'll be mad. I'm gonna go Bryson. I'm gonna do half of it on the outright, half of it on the without Scheffler. I think he's 20-1, and then 16-1 on FanDuel without Scheffler, which seems fair. I mean, it's like a 25% decrease, and the odds of Scheffler winning are pretty good. I don't know, implied odds. Anyway, and then to Axe's point, Aaron Rye, so many placement bets look good. He's like plus money to make the cut this week. You can get him top 20 at plus 500, plus 600. So I kind of like some of those numbers. All right, make cut bet. I'm going to steal Corey Connors because he just seems like the safest guy with a good number. What do you guys got?
I'll go Keegan. I guess the number is going to vary. It looks like things have already moved a little bit since before we started, but he's at minus 196 where I checked. They also didn't show me anyone who was positive, so I had to pick a favorite. So
yeah, I'm looking at my 365 here in Ontario. The only 3 players that are positive to make the cut are Tiger Woods and 2 people named Sam Bairstow and Brandon Robinson Thompson. So I don't know what the hell's going on there, if they're family friends or what, but
those are the guys we get there.
Man. But my
World Tour.
My made cut guy will be Sung Jae at minus 188. I mean, obviously I'm putting that in some sort of parlay. I'm not going to bet that outright, but Sung Jae for me.
All right, so if you parlay Sung Jae, Corey Connors, Keegan Bradley on FanDuel plus 213, I'm going to do pretty decent number or bet on that. I'll do a giveaway if it hits for viewers of the show next week. Then shop that around if you do want to tail it. All the books have different numbers. All right, so if you were listening to the podcast feed, don't want to stick around for the snake draft, we wish you farewell. Let's pull up DraftKings. And EPat, do you want to get out of here? Or do you want to stick around for the snake?
I'm sticking around, dude. I'm not getting kicked out.
Okay, let's see what we got.
Do you miss DFS?
Yeah, I'll build with you. Part of me does, part of me doesn't. It's such an extra layer of grind that I don't know if I even have time for, and I'd probably just be flushing money down the toilet, to be honest. So, thankfully, there's a book up here that does offer a kind of free daily contest that I jump in. So, and they just copy DraftKings numbers. So I play once in a while. It's just not like the old days where you could actually, pump out 50 to 100 lineups every week. Just don't have that in me anymore.
All right, so we go to DK Lobby, click on Snake. I wanted to do a 12-man, but we're already going over on time because it's been a lot of fun. So let's just do $5 6-man. Looks like there's one person in it already. This should fill pretty quick.
$5 6-man. All right, I see that.
Post a link in the chat if anybody wants to hop in.
Damn, these do look fun. See, this is something I don't need in my life. This would be consuming. I can't play underdog. I can't do any of those kind of daily pick
just
games.
Got underdog
unfortunately,
back in Michigan.
And is that just because of the part of Canada you're in?
Yeah, like for some reason when they implemented, they allowed sports betting, but then they forgot to include daily fantasy contests into the legislation. So DraftKings had to pack up shop, unfortunately.
Oh, that's
bonehead. They rushed it, so that's the way it goes when you rush stuff.
All right, just need one more for the snake to fill, and we'll quickly do that. So, you big hockey fan up there, Canada?
Axis might be a bigger hockey fan than me. This guy breathes it. Obviously I cheer for the Leafs. They stink, but it is what it is.
Axis hockey was the sport growing up for me. That's all I really played also. So, but speaking of that, do you got a name you prefer for the Utah Blanks, the Yeti?
Yeah, you got
the hockey club.
I can bet on the next name of the Utah hockey team. So if you have any inside info, please feel free to share that.
Yeah, who's the favorite? I haven't been following it that close.
The Yeti, the Utah Yeti is the favorite.
It does seem people love the Yeti, so
it's kind of what I figured. Doesn't make a ton of sense, but it's a cool name.
I kind of just liked Hockey Club from the ones that they pared it down to. Honestly.
As a former Washington football fan, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I like all that soccer too. Just call it football club, and then the nickname kind of just comes along with whatever. So I don't know. American sport gotta have mascots to sell.
We're 2 games into the Stanley Cup. Florida's got 2-0 lead as they head back to Edmonton.
Oh, so we got to bet Brooks then.
Right? The Peas are doing it. Yeah.
Peas. I mean, DJ is also a huge Panthers fan.
Oh, is he?
All the games.
I mean, everyone down in South Florida is probably a bandwagon Panthers fan right now.
Man,
is this thing full? Okay, it starts in a minute.
Did not get first pick. That's a bummer.
Yeah, I know. It's like an auto.
I know. Oh,
I'm in a pool with my buddies.
I've never done a golf snake.
Yeah, the snake is. I have the first overall pick this year, and I've already punched the drafts tomorrow night. But I punched in my pick, months ago. It's so easy in a snake draft. I don't know.
These are fun when you get like the 12-mans because you get pretty deep in the week fields.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. I mean, I do these like in the NFL when I'm bored on a Sunday. It's kind of nice though, right? Because obviously it's a way to cut down on ownership issues if that's something that concern. If you love playing chalk, like you can hop into one of these and
yeah, and you can do your rankings so you don't have to be around all the time.
Right. Yeah. This could have been dangerous to get me into, actually. Yeah.
All right. Yaz's Army, first pick. I bet it'll go with Brooks.
Is this winner take all? Is that the payout for these?
I think he plays first and second.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, first and second.
These are like the old sit and goes in the old poker days.
No.
6-man, top 2. This is. When did they implement these? Again, we haven't had DFS in a couple of years, so.
We've been doing them on the show for a couple of years, maybe.
I was gonna say it feels like it's been a decent amount of time. I'm too concerned trying to win $1 million that I don't win. So.
Yeah, I used to love them on Draft Street. Were you guys around for the Draft Street days?
That was before my time.
I was at the end.
Okay.
Oh man. Choices.
Yeah, that's kind of a hard pick.
You'd almost rather be like 6th, to be honest.
All right, we'll get cute.
Bryson?
I bet him in the field. Yeah, I'm gonna take him.
All right,
I do love him this week.
My only Rory exposure, probably.
I don't know.
I mean, that would have been my only Rory exposure. Maybe I should have done it just to root for him, but
I'm on Data Golf's course fit tool. Bryson is the #1 beneficiary of this course just because of how much emphasis they put on distance.
They put too much on distance every week.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
And your boy Aaron Rye is dead last.
Yeah.
I love looking at those, but sometimes Scheffler's like dead last, and I'm just like,
yeah,
can't be.
All right,
my pick.
Yeah, if your model doesn't have Scheffler number 1, then something's.
Yep, go back to the drawing board.
Yeah,
I'll go Hideki.
Over.
Man.
Hopefully, no one auto picks Rahm. This is
that would be tough.
Let's see. Do you guys like the player options or the draft board better? Watch.
But yeah, you got to kind of flick them back and forth, or else you lose track. Okay.
Who'd you go with, Axis?
I took Tommy. I like to root for Tommy too, and I didn't take Rory earlier.
Look at his picture. He's still got. That's the OG Axis Twitter picture.
That's true.
That's when I had Fleetwood the headband photo. Those were the glory days of DFS
fantasy
golf
Jesus
Twitter.
days back then. Yeah. Oh, I've been doing this too long. Good Lord. See, I definitely, if I do these again, got to pay more attention to the order of these for sure. Like did they do this in a specific order? Oh, just by ADP, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Whose rankings are these? It's just
weird, by the ADP.
They're definitely different than, the salaries.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. I guess they are just ADP. Do you guys do best ball?
No, I didn't. That wasn't allowed in Michigan at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, don't have many options up here, so it's not something I've dove into. But are you doing it? It's best ball. Best ball starts now, doesn't it?
I've always every year I want to get into it, and I never do.
Okay, you seem like someone who'd probably be good at it.
I wanted to do the golf one for the majors, but kind of forgot. All right, I'll take EPat's boy Tigala.
Over your boy Hatton? Oh man.
I didn't even see him there.
Whoops.
All right, Michael Knack has a question. FD lineup, Scheffler, Matsuyama, Minwoo, Hatton, Seth, Bez. Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, it looks solid.
These questions are always like, if I ever say don't play this guy, they end up crushing. So as long as I don't disagree with anyone a lot, it looks good.
See, I can save now that I don't really do too much public content. I save all my takes for the DMs and messages, and I don't have to face them. So,
yeah,
cop out.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
I'm gonna make
have you put out your picks yet, Axis?
For betting this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went very small. I have the Bryson with the no Scheffler markets. I got JT 50-1. That's my only full market bet. And then I took Dean without Scheffler and Schauffele at 1 or 75 each way. We'll see. I'm kind of curious to see what numbers I get live. I've definitely over the last couple of years got way more into the live betting side of things.
Yeah, and as a former live trader, I can tell you those numbers can be soft, depending on where you're trading.
They can be soft. They can be a little slower.
They can be overreactionary. I mean, what was it? Rahm, I think, doubled his first hole in the Masters year, and his price went from like 10-1 to 16-1 or something. Like, just an overreaction for one hole with 71 left. And I remember I doubled down there. So it's the only thing I have an issue with betting, those short priced guys. It's just like a slow start, or even, I mean, if they have an afternoon tee time, their price can drift without even hitting a shot. So if you're thinking about betting someone 14-1 and they have an afternoon tee time, and I don't even know the tee times right now, but if someone goes out and shoots a couple under par, maybe it's one of the favorites for Xander.
Wish I had the option to live bet. I have to drive an hour and a half to get across the border. So once a week is all I get.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, even stuff between rounds, I know it's still a drive for you, but even some of that I find still more enticing than things that are offered prior to the tournament these days. Like, I bet way less prior to the tournament now than I ever used to.
Yeah, it's there's definitely opportunities live. I don't know if this market's available to a lot of people. I'm sure it is, but It's one of the weeks where I'd actually look at like to lead after a certain round and win. Scheffler is plus 750 to lead after round 2 and win the tournament. I mean, it's obviously risky. There's probably some dead heat stuff going on. He's 14-1 to win wire to wire. Again, this is where I think Scheffler's gonna separate. So I'm trying to get all the Scheffler action I can. Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, having fun with this one, I guess, because, why not? I could see some magic. He could get in some very deep trouble off the tee.
Have you seen his stat profile recently? Guy's like a world-class driver.
Which is a concern of mine. Yeah,
he gave up everything he was good at to be able to hit the ball far.
Insane.
He's gaining a ton of strokes off the tee, but he can't do anything else. It's wild.
It's his irons. Everyone says it's his wrist. Is that a real thing?
I mean,
it sounds like it is. And maybe hitting a ball off a tee is easier on your wrist than digging into the ground. I've struggled with wrist injuries before, so I kind of know that feeling and get timid off when you're hitting stuff into the ground. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know, to be honest.
I mean, these guys just don't really talk about that stuff anyway. Like it's
or even Ludwig was like very
right.
And it turned out about his knee injury.
Yeah, and it turned out to be pretty much. I mean, it seems more serious than what he originally let on. So. Again, I don't know. These guys, the injury stuff bothers the hell out of me. I assume if they're teeing it up, they're pretty good to go. But obviously, that's not the case very often.
Yeah, I don't know where I stand on the injury reporting stuff. I feel like no information's a benefit sometimes. Too much information, I don't know.
Yeah,
you get scared. I feel like everyone's got it kind of banged up at some point in the year.
Right.
All right, let me see these teams. I'm gonna judge.
Oh, we got a bench guy going. Okay, so we got one more for a bench.
So the bench, it takes your top 6 scores, automatically benches your worst guy. All right.
Oh, so they auto picked their bench there with somebody did it with Rahm, huh? Okay.
All right. So here's the squads: Axis, Bryson, Tommy, Fitz, Connors, Spieth, Straka, and Harmon. I do like Harmon this week. Shorter guy, but good U.S. Open player. My lineup's not looking as good.
I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I mean, Spieth.
I feel like 6-man drafts, every team's going to look pretty stout.
Yeah, in the major, yeah.
All right, that'll do it. Any final thoughts from you guys?
No, I'm just looking forward to it. I think this one should be a good one. Like I some courses can maybe lay some duds. I'd be shocked if I watch this Thursday, Friday, and I'm not enjoying what I'm seeing. Like maybe not on a betting or a DFS side, but just as if you can remove yourself from that, I think we'll be seeing some shots, as we like to say.
Yeah, just reiterate whatever Axis just said. It's going to be a fun show. Even if there's a runaway, I still think there's always a chance for a triple bogey, so it's never really out of the question.
Right.
It was a ton of fun having you guys on. Long overdue. Hope to do it again soon. And anybody out there, if you want to join RG Premium, again, the links are going to be in the description. The Discord is free if you want to hop in there. We just tilt with each other all week. It's kind of a lot of fun. And then, SimLabs is up and running for PGA if you want to build your lineups there. So with that, going to get out of here. Best of luck, everybody. See you next week.